Hey everybody, it's Pastor Doug Zirkle from Mission of Grace in Hayden, and this is more good news for today. We're going to talk about the word contentment today, contentment of heart, which is a possible achievable goal. I think a lot of people think it's difficult, or they think it's kind of surrendering and giving up, like, well, I'll just take a beating type of thing. But that's not at all what contentment means in the Bible. And so today we're going to look at it. Apostle Paul mentions it in 1 Timothy 6:6. He says, but godliness with contentment is great gain. That's something we should really be striving for. Now, of course, the godliness there means the attitudes of Christ, to follow his teachings, to try to live as he lived, to love others, treat others better, that sort of thing. It's not easy, but it's great gain when a person starts to realize they have the ability within them to treat people, to love people as Christ has loved us. Also, the contentment is great gain because it's a type of completion. A man who's content is a man who knows how to manage his life. They're content, they're complete, they're satisfied right in here. It's not an easy thing to achieve, and it does take some effort on our part. In fact, Paul tells us in Philippians 4:12, he says, I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. Paul tells us he knows how to be content. We should strive for the same thing. We should hope to accomplish that for ourselves. Many people want to be better parents. They want to run a little further than they used to. They want to achieve more at work and make more money. There's nothing wrong with those kind of goals, but there's nothing like aiming for contentment of heart. A man who's complete is a man who is well adjusted. A man who's complete is a man who's content. And a man who's content is a man who is confident and competent at what he does. I remember hearing the story one time of Jim Ryan, the famous runner back in the 60s, the first American high schooler to break the 4-minute mile. A great story. I grew up in the 70s, and so he was one of my heroes in the 60s. And I've always enjoyed hearing about Jim Ryan. Well, in 1964, after he broke the 4-minute mile as a high school student, he was able to run in the Olympics. And even though he qualified for the Olympics, he didn't make it that time. But in 68, he earned a silver and was actually doing wonderful things on the track. So he was America's big hope in 1972. But after he had achieved those first accomplishments, winning silver and breaking that 4-minute mile as a high schooler, he said he was still a little bit dissatisfied inside. He wasn't quite happy after all that work and all that effort. He just couldn't quite feel full, complete, until he became a Christian in May 18, 1972. He accepted Jesus Christ in his heart. It just so happens that year during the Olympics, during the trial run, he was tripped by another runner, fell down, and they wouldn't let him re-enter the finals. Even though he was tripped and the other runner was penalized, they told Jim Ryan he wasn't qualified, even though he took silver 4 years earlier. Well, he said he was so upset and hurt until he realized Jesus was in him. Christ was filling him up. Not just the achievement and the victory and the rewards of a great athlete, but the fulfillment of his heart. So guess what? He was content despite the circumstances. There was much to achieve, but he was unable to achieve it, but still he was content at heart. That's what it is to be content. We still run the races. We still do the best we can, but we're willing and able and capable because of Christ in us to make it through and to continue living with joy in our heart. Verse 13 in Paul, after chapter 4, verse 13, after 12, I can do all things through him who gives me strength. Our contentment rests in the strength of Jesus Christ. I hope you find that. Look for it. Seek it. It's worth finding and having. Have a great day. I'll talk to you next time.